Hello, everyone, for this first podcast in English called Fud and Fomo. On a regular basis, I'm going to invite Julian, my quant. You can follow him at That's My Quant on Twitter. And together, we are going to decrypt crypto news, finance, everything related to finance. And we are going to provide you with our respective perspective. On one side, Julian's a mathematical mind, classical quant that see everything as a risk, edge, and reward. On my side, you will have a bit of a activist perspective, activist investor. Julian and I co-created a market maker hedge fund called 1001. We will go through all of that. But first, let's start. Welcome, Julien.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Pleasure to discuss investing, especially with you. I think it's a good combo.
Yeah.
Having the experience, the human touch about how to value risk-reward, like more in the real life, and me on my side, more behind usually a laptop, I would say.
So maybe you can give a bit of your background and how did we end up working together and.
Yeah, so I think I have the classic background of the guy who wants to work in finance, like in hedge funds, asset managers, and everything. So preparatory classes, a lot of math, then engineering school, then starting to work a bit on trading, working for a few hedge funds or asset management firms. And then quite fast, I wanted to build up my own things. So I'm mainly focused in crypto. Mainly because I'm young, it's like the asset class of my generation. Also because like I have a bigger edge than in any other market. And I think when we meet up, kind of like we pitch you the way we see crypto, how we invest in crypto, how we deal with the market. And I think you really like our approach about it.
Yeah.
And you have this you have also this human filter that I cannot really explain or decrypt. So perhaps, yeah.
And it's true because we met around that, and you didn't have the usual talking point of crypto investor, and I was like, interesting. I'm not sure I understand everything, but at least it's very divergent. And because I'm very attracted to divergent thinking, I was like, I want to explore more and start to work with you. So in this podcast, we are going to talk about Fud and Fomo. You were saying off that we hope to get more FOMO than Fud.
Yeah, especially like in this kind of like macro environment, I think it's easy to only fall into the Fud trap and Fud everything.
So we will try to put optimism.
Yeah.
But before starting, a very important message.
Yeah.
Kids, this is not financial advice. None of what we are talking is in any way an advice for you to put your money on something, lose it, and tell it is because Ous and Julien told me to do so. So do your own research, be a big boys, don't cry when you lose, and don't be too happy when you win. At the end of the day, all of that is only luck.
Yeah. And we are trained professional, I would say.
Yeah.
And we are kind of like super optimistic, I think both of us, a different way.
Yeah.
So we have a big bias about markets. I think that is important to say.
Exactly.
Because I think we will find optimism in every kind of situation, even sad ones. So that's also something to know.
So what is the first subject you wanted we talk about today?
I think to start off, we can discuss a bit about the hot news, about how is the banking system going on in like emerging countries. Recently, like Iraqi banks started to put some pressure on clients who wanted to withdraw funds or escape, I would say.
So they have still bank in Iraq?
They still have some.
And they still have clients with money?
Yeah.
I don't want to be harsh, but after years and years of war, what is left there?
Not much, but still many people want to evade the local currency to go into dollar.
Okay.
Or I think in this situation, and perhaps you can share a bit more about Lebanon, they had kind of like Lebanon had a super big bank crisis, and I think the people are really the last one leaving the sinking ship. And so I think there is still people like having the local currency or being exposed to the
So
currency.
to give us a bit perspective, because I didn't follow this story, what happened in Iraq?
Basically, banks had more and more pressure, but I think the government trying to having less and less people having the money flowing out the country.
Okay.
So they put pressure about money cannot be withdrawn.
No
you cannot,
exchange.
yeah, you cannot withdraw cash.
You cannot buy dollars.
Yeah, exactly. All the swapping rates changed, and it's very, very expensive, stuff like that. Kind of like in Lebanon. And so slowly but surely, like the money you have, and that is like in the local currency, is going way faster to zero than you expect.
Yeah.
And you get trapped very fast. Yeah.
So for the people listening and don't know about that, Lebanon went through a massive banking crisis in 3 simple steps, basically. Step number 1, everybody realized with a bit of shock and surprise, and we'll talk about that. I still don't understand how, but they realized that their national banking system was a Ponzi scheme, where basically the bank were offering an interest rate that was out of any market rate anywhere in the world.
Like above 10, 15%
Yeah,
a year?
me, when I was in Lebanon before the crisis, they tried to convince me to put my money at 17% a year. And I remember telling my brother that I don't do 17% a year as a result, and I work really hard.
Yeah.
So I cannot imagine a Lebanese banker will do better than me.
Yeah, and I think something very important to notice is like if you don't understand the yield, you are the yield.
Yeah.
And I think in this situation, that's
exactly what happened. And so the central bank was literally giving this to loan the money to the Lebanese government that was paying with the money that was loaned to pay the loan. And so it's basically a Ponzi. And at one point, like in any Ponzi, they reached the point where they were not able to pay. And everybody was like, oh, so that's a crisis. Then step 2, they stop withdraw, they block the money. A lot of people had money in USD, so it was impossible to outflow the money.
Or they auto-convert sometimes.
Yeah,
Like,
some people got auto-convert, and some people had their money in Lebanese pound, and Lebanese pound was at, I don't want to say a mistake, but I think the official rate was 1,500 or 4,500. To be honest, I don't know. We can fact check that. But he went down 99%, like a good crypto. It's like
it's like a cheat coin.
It's like a cheat coin, yeah. And then he went down so much that people were in the impossibility of running their business. Inflation was all around. Shop had to change price every 3 hours.
Yeah, they had like small stickers on the prices.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
to tell how fast it was changing.
And because it's a country that live mostly from importing stuff, the cost skyrocketed. And then after all of that, the most crazy part of all of this is that the port of Beirut exploded. And
big explosion,
so on top of the financial crisis, on top of the banking crisis, there were now a national crisis, and especially in a port where all the imported goods were coming from. So you had the supplement cost of the inflation, plus the cost of the infrastructure to rebuild, plus the cost of operating with this drama. So Lebanon went through hell, literally hell. I never see my country like that, and it was really, really sad to watch. But the level of resistance and resilience is insane. Because you see, it's when there is nothing left that you see the ingenuity of people. And I think Lebanese people are, in average, very genuine at resisting and building. And you add in Lebanon a massive adoption of crypto. That it starts to be very, very interesting to watch.
Yeah, to get a bit of background about that, I think we take the Lebanese currency, the pound, as you mentioned. Yeah. It's like the Argentinian pesos. I think it went down 10 times against dollar, like in 5-10 years. Turkish Libra is like, I think, down 5 times against US dollar, like in the last 10 years. So kind of like all the emerging countries are really into big stress. if you compare against dollar, in situation when you can withdraw your money and you are free with your money, as you mentioned in Lebanon, it was not the case at some point. And I think the thing to mention here is like, it seems really like easy to say when you are after the fact that it happens. But when you are in the system, I think it's super easy to just go through the flow and forget about everything. And this is why I want to mention that I think many currencies are at way more stress than we expect, or that we think, like euro, yen. And it's super important to know to what you are exposed to and how you can find ways to avoid this kind of like situations. Because like, I don't know, you told me, but like Lebanon, it was like going through, like we have trust in the system to the system is like rigged, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's a scam, whatsoever, in 3 weeks. So it's kind of like super, super fast.
Yeah, it's true. I was telling you this thing. I was having lunch with Lebanese Minister of Innovation or whatever, and he was telling me, he said, banks are so strong that even during the war of Lebanon, they survived. 3 weeks later, it's a Ponzi. And it's the same
crazy.
fact, same people, and the people that said so much good things about the head of the banks now say they are criminals. It's crazy how people are so unrealistic by their own mistakes, and they are not fair about how much they help the system to grow and profit and blah, blah, blah.
And at the end, like it's the people of the country who are really suffering all of that. And that's the thing, is like trust is really something that could be super strong, but also super weak. Like I think there is nothing in between, especially when it comes to money. And so have you noticed, like, because the thing I see is like for all these countries, like there is no infrastructure after that because there is no trust. So how does it work? Like, do you go back to exchanging shell as a currency?
So Lebanon went through a lot. It's very interesting to watch Lebanon because it shows how a country can be rebuilt. But first thing is that you have the shock. Then Lebanon has one first advantage. A lot of people from outside that can bring back currency, fresh dollars.
Okay.
So step one was dollars becoming the official currency of Lebanon, even if the government pretend that not.
But dollar in cash, or they could still use the
dollar in cash.
In cash.
Yeah.
So is it legal? Like how does it work? Like,
so
did you did anything illegal, Oussama?
No, it's I don't know. But literally, you had people, their job was to bring cash to Lebanon, and you at the peak of the crisis, you were paying 20%, 25% commission to bring the cash. Then this commission went to 10, then to 5, then to 2. Capitalism work. People started to start this business.
Playing
and
all the arbitrage, the small, like 1001, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And so step one, then people cannot do everything in cash. They started to look at crypto.
Okay.
For example, my mom got USDC wallet, USDT wallet, whatever. And she started
on-chain. They have like it on-chain.
Yeah, on-chain.
They don't have any centralized exchanges or very few. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
Because they are their own custodian of the money.
Yeah, exactly. And so she basically had a MetaMask.
Yeah.
And because the fees are very high, she started to do, like merging or exchanging money to cash to people that were coming to her home, bringing the cash. And everybody started. And now, in Lebanon, I was like 4 weeks ago, you pay with the Lightning Network shawarma.
Crazy.
And you are in a shawarma, and you can use the Lightning Network to pay in Bitcoin, and that's insane.
So in few months, from the collapse of like the traditional, I would say, banking system, like Swift payment.
Few years.
Yeah. Okay.
Few years. Yeah.
But really, like the big.
It took 3 years.
Took 3 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And like since like in few months.
Yeah.
Now they are their own custodian.
Yeah.
They don't even like use like centralized exchanges as the custodian.
So
they
of course,
have their own. So when you say about fees, just like you say, because they are on ERC20, so they are on Ethereum blockchain, so that's why the fees are high.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's why they are doing.
So a lot of people use BUSD.
Okay,
to have less fees.
Oh yeah, on the Binance Smart Chain.
On the Binance Smart Chain, but a lot of people cannot pass the KYC because they don't have the right passport, or they are refused, or they are flagged. So they go on ERC20, and so people do bridge. But the funny thing is, you have a big fragmentation of people because everyone has his own system. And it depends a lot about your support system outside the country. So if your family is big on cash, then you will use Western Union and you will receive money in cash. If your family is big on wire, then there's new bank. They pass a law called new dollars. That if you bring new dollars inside the country in a traditional bank, then they promise you that they will not block it. And it's crazy, people believe it. Then you have people that are very traumatized because they lost a lot. So they don't want to use that. And the most crazy part of all of this is that everyone that had his dollar freeze now and that have not been auto-exchanged, they recoup like 70% or 80% back. Yeah. So the system is recovering. And it's
slowly
healing. And it shows like how much a big stress on the system rebuild a new system much faster than we imagine.
And on the payment system, you mentioned so ERC20 payments, Lightning Network payments, Binance Smart Chain payments, Bitcoin also on the.
I saw Solana too. Solana Pay,
yeah. But none like has gained more market shares like is.
To be honest, I'm not a big expert, and it's just through my observation of walking in the street and buying shawarma, basically.
Because Lightning Network is quite impressive.
Lightning,
basically you pay instant.
You sent me the video of the Lightning Network.
Yeah, the guy in the restaurant was paying with the Lightning Network.
Yeah, Lightning Network, and I think Lightning Network is very underrated.
Yeah, I think Solana Pay is very underrated.
Yeah, so you have Team Solana, Team Bitcoin.
Two
Maxi. And I think both of them are very interesting. But Lightning Network has a very, very bright future, I think.
Because that's the thing. You could have like a self-custodian wallet having USDC on it. You just need, for example, for Solana Pay, really few cents of Solana to do like thousands of transactions, and then you can pay literally anything in the site. That's the thing. I'm really like frustrated about regarding crypto. It's like the fact that we didn't like gathered or really put something onto the table for all these countries or even like any other system. Not to have something against, like people in crypto always are against the fiat system, or they want to destroy everything, rebuild anything. No, I'm more like, can we raise like a decent alternative that we all kind of like adopt just to make things easy, like, for example, Revolut. I think now with my friends, we start to use it more and more. It's super convenient. You have like an hashtag you can send money on. And I think like the not having like either Lightning Network, Solana Pay or things like that, it's a bit a shame. Because at the end of the day, for me, one of the biggest application of crypto is the payments. And still, nothing have been really shown. Like, for example, PayPal just launched their stablecoin, but it's like on ERC20 chain, so fees are super high, super slow. So it's like paying a kebab. You have $10 fees, and you have to wait 10 minutes to make sure. So the kebab is cold, and it's like it's like very frustrating. But that's a good thing to see that some few things like are emerging. And what's your take on the fiat system, more generally speaking, like in Europe, in the US, and how do you see like CBDCs breaking into this system?
So, first, I don't believe fiat are going to be doomed. I'm not funding fiat. Some countries will have trouble. Some countries will have weakness, but at the end of the day, the US state is very strong. And at the end of the day, I don't know. If it happened, I don't see how it will happen. I don't know where it will start. And I think that if we are living in a world where fiat generally collapse, our level of trouble will be so high that crypto will not be a solution. Because I don't see crypto thriving without a finance industry that is stable
or healthy.
and healthy. Yeah. On a very long term, maybe the crypto system can replace the fiat system. Why not? But it's on timeline that doesn't make sense on our human scale. I don't see. Maybe I'm short-sighted, but I don't see it. Now, problem, and I love to read Balaji about that. I don't know if you remember his $1 million Bitcoin. But
Yeah, bet, yeah.
it's true that this system is growing on a very unsustainable debt. And during COVID, we printed money like it was candies, and we give it for free to everyone. Then we said, oh, we give too much. We have inflation. So we stopped and we started to go back. And then now we say, no, it's not going to be a recession. And everybody, I mean, all my friends see recession coming. And I don't know if this recession is going to be big, small, transitionary, whatever. But I see real people suffering from this inflation. If you go to restaurant, if you go to grocery shop, you see that the price of things is up. And there is this guy that I never understand, Paul Krugman, like the Nobel Prize. He did a tweet. He said, I redo the calculation of inflation without food and energy, and it's not as bad as what we say. And you're like, are you serious? There is this, so you have this street smart that see inflation, obviously, and you have this kind of elite that is like, no, the stats, blah, blah, blah. People are like, no, you're fucking up with me. And so I think the chance of crypto is maybe to be a regulation of that and edge, maybe, like an alternative to this. It's not stupid to have a small part of your net worth in crypto for the simple reason that it's a good crazy frog. Exactly. It's like, if everything collapses, maybe this will come. I understand that there is a lot of limitation around crypto and that it's not perfect and there is a lot of work to do and we need that the US somehow simplify what is a crypto, what is not, what is a regulation, what is a security, what is not a security, what is an utility. There is so much debate around. But on the grand scheme of things, I don't know how we can stay in a world where where state all around spend much more than what they are able to build and provide. And it's like this craziness. Do you know the Leviathan?
Yeah,
this beast that only eats everything to grow. States are by nature Leviathan. And I think they are reaching a point of real scariness. If the states want to take the best of blockchain and build CBDC, central bank decentralized currency, there's two paths. One path, we do it as good and as right as our fundamental right require. We make them privacy first, and all of this. Okay, and I think everybody in crypto is obsessed about decentralization. Yeah. But decentralization is less important than privacy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
And so privacy by design is something state can adopt. And I think the level of discussion we should have is that privacy by design is as important for democracy than every fundamental principle of the Constitution of the US we grant for certain. Free speech, free will, free consciousness. And we cannot let the state have the power to decide what we should do with our money electronically. Because on the other side, if CBDC become something that the government can control and put a little bit like a social credit system, China style, to our civilization, we will really see in our lifetime the hand of democracy in the West. And there's huge force, that want the hand of democracy in the West because democracy doesn't work. So if you talk with most of the elites around the world in private, they always think the same. People are fucked up. Social media make them all together. We need a way to control them. And in that sense, they are more fascinated by China than they all admit in public.
Because it's a way, it's getting back control on the money, on the currency. It's the way to get back control. Like It's even bigger than media. It's even bigger than justice and everything.
But this fascination disgusts me. And for me, that's the most important thing.
You are very scared about it.
I'm so scared about it.
Because it's important to say, because that's the thing with CBDC I don't get. Is like it's such a big thing. I think it's one of the. It's like the internet. It's one of the biggest It's kind of like life-changing thing.
It's much bigger because internet is bottom up.
Bottom up, okay.
This thing is top down.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody's talking about it. We don't have, I don't know if you can say like cabinet, like trying to figure out or putting rules or having like open discussion about it.
But the problem,
it's
and I can do this call. CBDC for the moment is only a technical conversation between people that are obsessed about technical details. We need philosophers that go and stop the ground of the thinking, and we need that the liberty side of things and the philosophical of liberty get bit of the debate around what it means for the principle of our constitution. And I think the US system with Supreme Court has kind of a good design to have this kind of conversation, and we should start now to publish things, because I think there will be a moment where government proposing design will be reviewed by the Supreme Court, and we need to make it...
to get back about what you were saying, before getting back to CBDC, about fiat system, I have a kind of like a different take. I think dollar is like so strong and so underestimated by people.
You don't believe in BRICS?
No, I don't believe in the new BRICS currency and everything, because I think it's very hard. It's hard for a country to like build a currency and manage it. So having multiple countries building a currency, saying, we want X% of this currency, X% of gold, it's impossible to manage.
You know what reminds me of the BRICS?
No.
You are in high school, you have the cool kid.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be part of the cool gang.
And so they are making a small...
And so they say, you know what, we should do our own gang. But nobody wants to be in the gang of the others.
Exactly.
So everybody's like, so let's do a Brazilian gang. I'm like, no, Chinese gang.
And I think that's the vibe also. I see also a lot on Twitter, guys saying the BRICS will add in the currency gold and Bitcoin and everything. To do that, you need to be super healthy. To say, I want to, with my currency, purchase this amount of gold, store it, and I think it's a super big cost that not much country can do it. And I think that's the case with, like, for example, China recently, or even Russia at war. They are selling a lot of gold just to, stimulate the economy and everything. And it's a super big sign of power. And I think if you compare to that, like, dollar is so strong. I have way more doubts regarding euro, especially that you have the European Union that could be a real point of failure and really trying to push down the euro. So and euro is kind of like a super young currency compared to the dollar. But one, I think, quant take I could give here is, like, I see so many guys in crypto leaving the dollar because of inflation and everything, all the narrative we had during COVID. I think it's right. But if you look like since the quantitative tightening by the Fed, the dollar supply, I think, is down by 30%, something like that. Way more than Bitcoin, Ethereum, and everything. So that's the thing. When you are buying an asset, or when you store as like an asset as a value or anything, try to find out or predict its inflation. Like, there is no point leaving an asset because the inflation is too high to get back, like, for example, in some cryptos where the inflation is super high or anything. So that's the first take. And the second take I would say is, like, be 100% aware of the I would say the smaller the asset is, the less stable it could be, and the higher chance is it to be inflationary. That's why people are seeking dollar like as crazy, of course, because of the rates and everything, but because also it's like the biggest asset in the world. It's super big, super liquid. Many countries also are gaining exposure to dollar because of the weakening of the currency, so it's a way to back that currency. And so that's the thing where people really are fading the dollar for the wrong reasons. And the COVID showed it, like the US could print. The thing is that, do they print more than other countries? I doubt it. I think Japanese, the yen, euro had been more inflationary than dollar. So at some point, it's just a game of like not who is going to zero, but how fast are you going to zero? And so you want to be in the train of the currency or the assets that are going less faster to zero, so that you could benefit it. I don't know if that makes sense. So that's why, for example, the British pound, the Swiss franc, some currency like that who are a bit like less, I would say, in the light of like the media and everything, could be also an edge, and it could be very interesting to get exposure to, way more than gold, for example. I'm not a big fan of guys saying, oh, I want to find stability, I will go back to gold or things like that, because first, it's super hard to do if you want to do physical gold and anything. I'm not convinced by gold as a store of value. Inflation is omnipresent on gold, I would say. The use is not that much, and you don't get like any exposure to like a trend. When, for example, if you get exposure to like the British pound, you get exposure to the UK economy. So the idea is like, I am bullish on the UK or not. It's another, like, I would say, but that's the thing. So that's the thing I wanted to mention about what you were saying about the dollar is strong, backed by so many things. The US Army, the tech, I think also by Americans who are super big risk takers compared to like any other people in Europe, for example. And these are big things that make it to stay, or at least fall as the last, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's super important to discuss. And also perhaps that the US CBDC is having a better path or better way than, for example, the euro that we could have as a CBDC. I don't know if you have looked into like few details, but it seems like in the US, they are first and foremost looking more at infrastructure, trying to make it faster, faster than the SWIFT system that is super slow for payment between corporates and everything. When in the EU, I think it's getting like kind of like a weird path on how like they discuss about it. Like it's super like we don't understand what's going on behind the scene and everything. So that's a very important take about macro. It's like, don't underestimate the dollar. And as long as rates are as high as they are now, I think they are like but you can yield your dollar for like more than 5% a year, 6-7%. So that's a decent yield without any risk, or just the risk of the US sovereignty, I would say. So kind of like a low risk, despite the fact that, to quote a figure, they added 500 billion as of debt in the last 20 days, which is crazy. The debt sitting at 33 trillion dollars.
That represents more than almost $300,000 by American.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because 300 million Americans,
Yeah. You imagine?
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's not sustainable.
But when will it end?
I think nobody can call it out.
Yeah. But do you think it will end it like a slow way, like it's a slow death spiral, or at some point something will break, like in Lebanon or any other country?
They are such a leveraged country that printing money help them kind of destroy debt by absolute value.
Our currency, your problem, as they say.
Exactly. But we cannot do that infinitively because even them, they are getting poorer and poorer.
Okay.
So if you were making 100K a year in the US, you lost half of your purchasing power over like 10 years almost.
I think even less, perhaps.
Yeah, even less. So
which is crazy.
So you see the problem, huh?
But I have a small theory. I think a super wrong one. Is like basically, if I were the one like controlling the dollar, I would be. They are aware of the situation, of the problems, of this death spiral, and everything. The thing is that they are convinced that they are the stronger one, and that euro, yen will go down, even the Chinese yuan will go down faster than them. So they are kind of in a spot where they can put pressure on them, like kind of like the way that you cut costs and all your competitors will die, something like that. And so they are not in a rush of trying to find quick solutions. And at some point, they could try to pivot with smart moves. Like let's say they will add Bitcoin to the balance sheet and will try to, mix up the gap of like not suppressing a part of the debt, but trying to refigure out or restructure that debt. Because at some point, this is just what they will do, or they at some point do, is like either you restructure your debt, you find solutions. Very hard to find. I think there is very few cases in the world of like countries who were able to stop the bleeding of like the debt going crazy. And then you have something like breaking, like for example, in Venezuela, in Argentina, in Lebanon. And so you rebuild slowly. But I think on this case, for the US, it's kind of like different.
The difference with US is also their ability to start a world war and just reset everything.
Like Iraq, you mean about Iraq, like they were. Nowadays, it seems small because I think they just said like about the debt, like they increased it like for 1 or 2 trillion, I think.
Yeah.
And this is the way they financed the war. Nowadays, 1-2 trillion seems
very small.
Smaller. I don't know how much they printed for COVID or how.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They printed more for COVID than the whole history of the US combined.
Okay. Because I know 2008, just to give the liquidity to the commercial banks, I think it was below 1 trillion.
Yeah.
Like 500 billion, something like that. When nowadays it's like even SVB had a kind of like a bigger hole just to cover up like the deposit withdrawals. And the thing about that is like because of the high rates, just to talk about SVB a bit, perhaps you have one of few things to say about it, one of few interesting things. Is like I think the unrealized loss of US banks due to the fact that rates went up and they had like money locked in maturity where the yield is lower is above 1 trillion now. So that's also when a big stress put like on the system with the high rates is the fact that.
But Balaji is obsessed about that.
Yeah.
Balaji rightly saying that it's like every bank is virtually bankrupt.
Yeah.
But the music continue.
Yeah.
When the music will stop.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's the.
And I don't like that the most powerful country on earth have such a high incentivized to launch war.
What do you mean by that?
For them, war is a way of exporting their monetary problems. They sell a lot. They have a big military complex, industrial complex. And so they have a big alignment between war and making the US a better place. So they make money, everybody go down. You have economic stimulus of the rebuilding.
And they also show that their army is like very strong and very efficient.
Yeah, they can show that the army is very strong and very efficient. So it's not good.
I think it's like 30 years or 20 years that we hear that the Chinese army will take over like the US ones, perhaps in numbers or on few like aircraft or I don't know. But it feels like even like for example the current situation in like Israel Palestine, like it's like no I would say country aside like US that is kind of like a bit outside the conflict, like reacted saying okay we are moving like aircraft and everything. So they're really that's the thing we were mentioning, like when people say the dollar is backed by nothing,
they are backed by a very, very powerful army. Yeah,
that's the thing. At least in Dubai, the rate is like stable against dollar, so we don't have to worry.
That, by the way, I don't know how much it costs to buy that. Huh?
To keep the rates flat.
Yeah.
What's the situation in Dubai like regarding the import and the export? Are they like?
But I think they are counterbalanced. We import much more.
Okay, way much more.
Yeah,
So the state have to buy. Okay,
I think so.
okay.
That number I will be very curious.
Because Dubai doesn't make money because they don't have very few
They don't.
exports.
They don't. They
Very
have
few
no
exports
exports.
about gas or oil. Very few.
They don't.
Yeah, don't. Okay,
Yeah.
but it's like less than 5% of the GDP.
Is it zero?
Zero. Okay, zero.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Almost zero. Yeah.
So they are sending a lot of their local currency to buy goods and everything, and they don't have any exports.
No. So this peg, I don't know how much it costs them to keep it.
I would be curious to hear like if anyone like wants to have a theory or knows
Yeah.
it in to add a comment of how does it work to keep the rate stable. Is it based on trust? Like they don't have to do anything, just people say it's 1 for 4 and that it's like that, or 1 3 6.
No, I think because if it was like that, every George Soros in the world will push
would
it.
bet, yeah, would bet
So I
against.
think everybody. No, I think the treasury of the state has very deep pocket. But maybe wait, because I say a mistake. Because they don't have export in Dubai, but in UAE they have export.
Okay,
So the peg
could be supported by.
is supported by the. Yeah, I always forget that Dubai
is not. Yeah,
is not alone in this story.
yeah.
So Abu Dhabi has a huge
dollar export. Yeah.
So it looks much easier
Okay.
to protect the peg. Yeah.
Because like I think it's the case of Japan. This is why they are struggling to protect their currencies. Like their
The
export,
currency in Japan is
it's going down, and you have nothing to defend
No.
aside printing your money,
Yeah.
which makes it
makes it go
even
down.
go lower.
Yeah.
That's like and in Japan is like I think that's the first case we have of like a developed country having the currency where you can do anything. You can raise rates, like inflation rates, inflation like about goods, inflation about your currency rates. Doesn't like means nothing. Like
No,
you
totally.
can do anything and
And
just fucked up.
and Japan has a very big demographic crisis. So
yeah.
how they are going to solve that? Huh?
And they don't have much immigration, right? Super slow.
It's not allowed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's not even like in Canada where they have like they are filtering. Okay, very very slow.
Very very slow.
Okay. So okay, let's move on to another talk, another small chat. This is where I'm here today. This is why I come to Dubai to discuss and confront Oussama with his view of money and how your relationship to money, basically. I think we have two super different relationship to money.
What is your relationship to money?
I think I'm younger than you.
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm a bit more...
How old are you?
25.
25, yeah. So 12 years.
12 years.
12 years old.
Gap.
Yeah.
I think I'm more like victim of the system, like about materialistic view,
Yeah.
buying things and everything.
You have a watch.
Yeah, I have a watch to give me... It's for the time, to give me time.
Yeah. You don't have a phone?
Yeah, the spoken, yeah, but see, yeah, okay, it's working.
Is it a nice watch?
No,
No.
it's like it's nice. It's a nice watch, but
It's a nice
nothing fancy, right?
Okay.
Nothing fancy. Something you can wear like in Europe, and you don't get like stabbed or.
I have my first Rolex. So
Yeah, you had your first Rolex.
Yeah.
And happy to mention it. Oussama like is really not into watches. Like you really don't give a fuck. Like it's for you, it's like it's useless and worthless. But I feel that since you got a Rolex, the way for lunch you discussed about your Rolex that you got as a present. Of course, you would never have bought a Rolex. You had like kind of like a smile of a child, or I feel you were happy to have one.
Oh, you're
no?
totally
Wrong.
You're totally projecting your own smile and own happiness. No. I'm super happy and grateful.
It's a super gift.
Super gift. So I will consider it as a gift. I will put it in a box and in a safe to be sure I don't lose it. And maybe one day I will give it to someone.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
You are just the keeper.
I'm the keeper.
Yeah.
I'm the timekeeper.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, I'm not big. I don't have a driver license. I rent my house. I don't have real estate. I think
a bit of real estate. Still.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
In Normandy, I always forget because I don't feel it's mine.
And you have other things as real estate.
Really?
No, you don't have a.
No, yeah.
That's the thing. I don't have real estate. I have a small luxury hotel in the...
Yeah. But I see it more as a financial investment paper. Yeah. So yeah. So what
like
is
more to diversify, you mean?
Yeah. So
But-
what is your
No, I mean, like, of course, I'm way more materialistic than you do. And I think that's the thing that is super, like, your singularity for me, that you have grown through the years. And this is where your edge is, I think. Because, like, because perhaps people don't know you, like, when you are an English speaker, but when you're a French speaker, of course, we do know you. And we know you through all your entrepreneurial talks, how much you gave to the entrepreneur like ecosystem, like in France and in any like French native speaking countries. But the thing that is really unique to you is like, and that's the edge you've grown over the years, is like the fact that you are spending so much in like experiences, meeting people, daring, taking risk on meeting new people, or like, I don't know, doing a trip just to meet a guy, like things like that. That makes you like what you are today. And I think that's the cool thing, because first, when I look at it, I was like, this man is crazy. $500,000 annual bill in hotel, only in hotel.
Yeah.
Hotel
and restaurant.
Hotel and restaurant, I would say. This guy is crazy, because you win a lot of money, but like not at the point where it's not money for you. Like it's still like one of your biggest, I would say.
It's my biggest,
yeah, spending in the year. And at the first, I was like kind of confused, like how is it possible? And now I get it more. It's really like the fact that you are growing like your business, your brand, and also your edge, like by meeting all these people. But any tips you want to share to like young people listening who are like into Rolex, into cars?
Don't do like me. But to be honest, I'm surprised by this generation, especially in Dubai. You know, you have all these young people making a lot of cash here.
Okay.
It's not just a flex for Instagram. Huh? There is really a lot of young people making a lot of cash here.
When you say young people, you mean like below 30, 25?
Yeah,
20s, like.
Yeah, 20s, yeah. And
which is crazy.
It's totally crazy. And the funny thing is that I'm surprised about how they spend their money. They are obsessed about buying real estate, watches, car.
Assets, you mean?
Assets. Yeah, but assets that they can show off.
Okay.
And when you offer them opportunity to invest in startups, for example, in California, that are very asymmetric bets.
Like when you say asymmetric bets,
99% chance of losing your money.
Yeah, but the
1% chance of making millions.
Yeah. But what you mean by that is like under activity compared to real estate is like super interesting to do that, because it's a way to diversify and enhance your global risk reward.
Yes, the Sharpe ratio has nothing to do.
Just to explain a bit.
Because if you take real estate, I never understand why people love real estate.
Same.
Your chance of making 2x, 3x is super low, but your chance of taking a minus 30% in your face because there is a crisis is super high.
Yeah.
So if it's your job, and if it's something you invest time in, and you are good at finding good deals, negotiating, going and trying to get value out, it's an amazing asset class. But it's an amazing asset class if you are active.
Yeah.
So everybody present that
as a passive income,
as a passive asset class,
when
it's actually one of the most active asset class out there. And everybody presents startup as an active asset class, where literally I put 25,000 in a startup 8 years ago, and one day they call you and they say, we have we have 1 million to send you. Where should we send that? Yeah. And you're like, why not more people are doing startups? And the funny thing, and this is why I'm talking about this new generation, is that their stupidity around money is above the roof, because their ability to take risk on the right side, it's really, really bad. Because they have access to these kind of entrepreneurs and things, but no, they prefer to buy watches. But because one day Rolex did a 2x on something, you know?
Yeah, and the thing is that it's not because you can touch the asset that it's a better investment. Like, we have to say it. Like, I hear so many guys saying, yeah, but I list with real estate, with watches. I touch it a come on, that's not the case. But for real estate, I have two small theories. Like the first thing is like many people are not risk taker. Like you are a super big risk taker, so that's why you see real estate as this asset class. When so many people are really like conservative about money, and so they are pouring money into real estate. And the second thing is like with real estate, people underestimate all the risk layer they have and all the risk exposure they get by doing real estate.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like my friends, they are doing a lot of real estate, for example, in France, only in France. And they're like, yeah, it's risk-free, Julian, you don't get it. And everything. I say, you have the European Union first risk, then you have the euro, then you have France, like the power, how is it? Then you have your bank, the currency, like, you know, you are exposed to so many things and you have so many layers of risk that do seems riskless until they all get aligned, and then it's like it's crazy. So
only good thing with real estate is the leverage.
Yeah.
But everybody don't get access to leverage.
Yeah.
So.
Like you don't.
Yeah, try to avoid it.
Yeah.
Because
you're super scared about leverage.
Yeah, and I like.
And I think that's a good thing. Oussama can't access leverage.
Yeah, and I love my freedom.
Yeah.
Because leverage is not freedom. But yeah. Outside that, I don't really see the point.
The risk you forget when you do real estate, like the counterparty of the country, of the currency, geography, like also the stability of where you buy your real estate. I think that's why. We are in Dubai, so what can you say about the real estate in Dubai first? And
when you rent something, you know the maximum amount you will pay.
Yeah.
When you own something, you know the minimum amount you will pay. Okay. And I think that's what people forget.
That's super true, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm super bullish on the real estate in Dubai. But again, it's an interesting asset class if you work in, because it's to find deals. And for example, real estate in Dubai look like a lot like NFT. You have a limited supply.
Okay, yeah.
People do launch. Then everybody got excited. Then after it crashed because someone did a new launch somewhere else, and you don't have the average notion like in New York you will buy in a certain neighborhood and it will be an average at a certain place.
Yeah, it really depends the promoter.
Yeah, exactly.
And also like how luxurious the building will be, right?
Yeah, exactly. So in that case. We always have the chance in Dubai to really have a price that is based on the characteristic of the operation and not the neighborhood or not the location. And Dubai is no limit. Like I was visiting a flat, a 2-bedroom that is $5 million and it's 65 meters square.
Okay.
Because it's designed by a very famous designer, and there is
and you just
gold.
buy, it's not built yet, right?
No,
you
it's
just
not built.
buy,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's
and there is gold on the cheminée, and there is gold on the TV, and you're like, okay, there is like 5 kilo of gold, of 10 kilo of gold just in your living room, so it should justify the price, blah blah. Okay, fine, but again, I think every asset class is a job by itself, and there is very, very few passive asset class. And stock market is a very good passive asset class because the truth is that you can, like my favorite strategy for people that don't know anything about investment, I tell them, okay, pick your 15
I know.
favorite brand and just buy all the stock and forget it for 20 years.
Yeah, if you like it, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Like, for example, why you don't have Samsung?
Yeah.
Just because Apple is better. So why would you have Samsung stock?
Exactly. And it's that is a very passive, adaptive strategy that is based on the macroeconomic environment.
And you buy something that at least you know a bit.
Yeah.
And you know a bit the business model. Especially like we have a bunch of entrepreneurs around us. So I think it could be easy for them just to have a look at the business, how is it running, the results, and just have a clear view of
and they do something real.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
and something that generates value.
Yeah, because the problem with gold, real estate, all this,
it doesn't generate anything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so important.
So I think people misunderstand where the risk is.
Yeah.
But it's also a problem of timeline. It's also a problem of quantity of assets. It's also a problem of...
And getting back to what we were saying, at the beginning of the podcast, it's also goes down to inflation.
Yeah.
When you're buying Apple stock, you are buying kind of like a deflationary asset.
Yeah.
Aside the fact that top executive have like some shares unlocked, call options and everything, so it's kind of like an inflationary pressure.
Yeah,
but they are buying
so
back
small.
stocks. Yeah, small, so small. But they are buying back stocks at a crazy rate, and that's a super healthy asset, generating value and deflationary.
Yeah.
That's something like Ethereum could be like on the pure on proof of stake when fees are a bit high. So that's super cool. In private, also, you were saying that you value real estate if you can do leverage on it.
Yeah.
Can you give us a bit
so
more?
leverage is a good tool, again, if you know how you are going to generate cash flow.
Okay.
For example, real estate is very linked to marketing. And a flat on Airbnb without marketing has not the same value than a flat on Airbnb with marketing. Because with marketing, you have a lot of
Adding value,
and things like that. So in that sense, you can use real estate in a very, very concrete business way. And it can be stupid things like if you are really good at operation, running Airbnb can be a really good business. If you are bad at operation, running an Airbnb can be a nightmare.
Yeah, it's often a nightmare.
Yeah, and because most of the people are not good at operation.
Yeah, because it's very hard. Yeah.
And if you find someone to operate it for you, then your margin
Goes
reduce, and then is it that interesting?
And at some point, your yield is below like inflation, below like
Exactly.
things that don't make sense.
So I think at the end of the day, there is no
free lunch.
No, there is no free lunch. Investment is a job. Better to pay fees to professional and let them
do their thing.
It's really, really hard to evaluate. And that's why people should stay cold-head. And there is nothing that provides more value than being an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
And there is no chance of making money that is higher than being an entrepreneur.
Super good take. Just to end up to finish on the leverage, I think for me, I don't do real estate because I feel it's such a big opportunity cost for me.
Yeah.
Because then I will be forced to think about business a different way, saying
Totally.
at least 1 or 2K cash flow more every month that is stable, so you reduce your risk. And I think it's kind of like could be a vicious circle. And that's the thing you were mentioning is like betting on yourself is, I think, the most valuable thing you could do. Yeah. And that's why you have this lifestyle. Yeah. It's just like you are.
It's a constant learning experience on my own brand.
Yeah. It's like you believe in yourself so much.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. Yeah. That by seeing a bit how you live and how you do your things, that's the thing I'm really impressed by. Is like the fact that you feel that $1 spent on you is where you have the most upside.
True, and I can tell you the first time
it seems like when I say it, it seems kind of like dumb. But for example, like we see so many entrepreneurs buying a Rolex where they should just put the money in their business because they will get more upside, and so it doesn't make any sense to buy a Rolex or to buy gold or anything. And we were at a mastermind. Perhaps you can.
Tell me.
No, your mastermind, I would say. And that's the thing I was impressed by all the entrepreneurs is like how like they invest into their business, like they are so driven into their business, and because we are doing a lot of investment also on the side, testing many things and everything. Like when I was chatting with them, like, what do you do as an investment and everything? They say, yeah, just invest in my business. This is where I have the most upside. Yeah. They were all telling me like, I think I could beat SP 500 or Bitcoin, which is like, I think super cool. And that's something I didn't have like in mind before, like really being confronted to it. And now like I would avoid like some spendings just to try something and invest money somewhere else, something I would never do.
The first time I read the story about that was Richard Branson that explained how he bought Necker Island in Bahamas to invite everyone there and having insane holiday that will generate business. And the other time I heard about it is Chris Sacca, is very famous investor in the US. He was a lead investor in Uber. He did so many SPV on Uber. At one moment, this guy was printing cash, literally. And he said he got the deal with Travis because he had a small house near Tao where every weekend he was inviting entrepreneurs. And this house was maybe not a very good real estate investment, but it was an amazing experience investment that provide 10x return on investment.
And so from this, so there is no limit. Like you would say, do anything you think, spending wise on your brand or yourself that could generate something.
I think
like you have no limit.
I think at the end of the day, it's really depend on your confidence, on your ability to generate new money.
But does this confidence change over time, or
for the moment it didn't? Maybe one day I will regret it. But in my experience, if you are scared to lose it, you will lose it. Of course, some people are smarter than others as investors on the patrimonial side and on their personal family engineering. I don't have children. I don't have this pressure of
having to provide,
having to save something.
But we both know that's false on the.
No, but my theory is that my children should come up and down with me.
Okay.
But you cannot do that on a regular basis.
Perhaps we can move on to discussing a bit of an asset class we already discussed a bit about gold, giving both of our opinion about it. How do we see this asset class? Perhaps you want to start.
Do you know where gold come from?
You mean originally, when it was introduced as a store of value?
No. Like how do you create gold?
No.
You don't know where gold comes from.
Like from the mines, right? You mine it and you just
before it's in the mine. How it's?
How you mean like diamonds, like from pressure? And
diamonds, carbon under pressure create diamonds. By the way, this is why there's so much diamonds on Earth.
Yeah.
Diamonds are not rare at all, but gold is very, very rare.
Okay.
Why?
No, I don't know.
Because you need a star to explode.
Okay.
Gold is born in the heart of stars.
Okay.
And when the stars die and explode, it sends gold across the universe.
Okay, so that's why there is plenty of gold in the universe, right?
Yeah. And before Earth had an atmosphere, we were bombarded by residual gold, and this is why gold is so random on Earth. You can never predict where there is gold, and it's not from Earth, it's literally from the stars. So when you have gold on you, you have a heart, you have something that requires the energy of the heart of a star. And alchemists, they were trying to transform anything material in gold. And they had the intuition that gold had very specific properties that require an almost infinite level of energy to be built. They didn't know it was the heart of an exploding star, but it shows. Right? So gold is magical, and it's really linked in almost it's like when we discovered this material at the beginning of humankind in civilization, we had the feeling that this material represents something really, really, really uncommon.
Uncommon, okay.
Yeah, and I think it's the only. So you have gold and Bitcoin, but you have nothing in between that achieve to have such a value without any utility.
Okay.
Do you know anything that has value without utility?
Has value.
Because even the value of diamond, if it didn't
have
have
utility, like for lasers.
And marketing utility.
Yeah, marketing was
But have been created.
For Bitcoin, I've heard guys that use the Bitcoin, the fact that you have a block every 10 minutes, as something to prove something.
Whatever. It's not an utility because it's one guy using it like gold. Like gold can be used in food. Gold can be used to do jewelry.
Like
gold.
in your
but
iPhone,
it's just that So I will say it again because I know hater will be like that makes no sense. So let me reformulate my thought. Bitcoin and gold are the two only assets I know that got value before any utility that we found of them.
That's funny.
Gold adds immediate value as a material to represent a storage of value.
But
And the density of gold is crazy, huh?
Yeah, it's like super soft metal compared to like.
Yeah, but density wise,
Okay.
did you ever saw what 1 liter of gold? How much is it's?
No.
Can you ask ChatGPT? What is the weight of 1 liter of gold?
Weight of 1 liter of gold. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's crazy.
You have it?
How much?
Okay. Oh yeah, it's 20 kilograms.
20 kilograms.
Yeah.
You imagine the density? So imagine you are a very ancient civilization and you have gold. You can feel the power in such a small scale.
Like a dragon.
Yeah. It's insane. So on one side, I'm fascinated by gold. I love this asset class as a symbolic asset class, as a safety asset class. I have some gold coin.
I have one here. I have one here.
Yeah, you have one here. I have some gold coin in a safe somewhere in a case of end of world situation. But as an investment asset class, I don't really care.
It's like a defensive asset. So at some point, the first goal when you buy gold is not to make money. It's more like to defend or to protect capital.
Yeah, true. But so let's see. The only philosophical problem I have with gold is that it produces nothing. And I think we should not invest massively in things that produce nothing.
So you would be like kind of like Warren Buffett saying, "I'm not buying gold. I'm buying the companies that mine gold, stuff like that." More that. Okay.
Exactly. And also not even buying the mining company that mine gold. I think there is more interesting things to do on Earth. But
you mean to finance gold company that extract gold? I think that's a good point to mention. And the thing is that it would make it like less competitive. Like it will impact the price of gold at the long term. But I think I have the same take. I see too many, and we see too many people like buying gold as if like as a speculative investment.
So strange.
That's weird. And the second thing is like we see too many people buying gold to play a trade that has a better risk reward if you buy Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like for example, if they say they bet on the end of the fiat system or the banking system, anything. I think it's better to buy Bitcoin than to buy gold, because of like how all the benefits you have having Bitcoin that gold doesn't have, like fungibility. You can have it on you without being at risk, Lightning Network, all this kind of stuff. And especially that it's an asset class that is kind of like suffering when you have a dollar that strong and when you have a dollar with high rates. So it's very hard to find a good risk premium buying gold. So more like for gold is more for fun or for protecting your wealth.
Exactly.
I think we can end up on few predictions.
Yeah, let's go.
So a long-term one, Bitcoin and gold. What's your take?
In terms of asset appreciation?
Yeah, market cap. Like, will Bitcoin flip gold one day? For example, my theory is
So what is the market cap of gold?
Can you Google it? I think it's like 8 trillion. Bitcoin is like it's 600 billion.
Yeah.
It went up above 1 trillion.
1.5, yeah.
Yeah, 1.5. 12 trillion? Okay.
Yeah.
So my take is like...
Bitcoin will flip gold, yeah.
Okay, so it's a 20 time.
But when?
So you are from the club of gold, of Bitcoin above like 500,000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, it's obvious. I don't see, look...
But you see it like happening, like the shock of supply, like all say that I start to believe it when you look at the Bitcoin on exchanges, centralized exchanges. Despite like the FTX drama and everything, people are way more like trying to have Bitcoin like on the safe.
Yeah. So I think there is three level of that. First, FTX proved that a lot of people sold Bitcoin without buying Bitcoin, and they are really criminals because they had a negative impact on the history of the price of Bitcoin.
That's the case of gold right now, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Perhaps Bitcoin could follow this way, and stay below $100,000 like for
Yeah,
default
but
life,
it
yeah.
will not.
Okay.
I think Bitcoin is
Still.
going to have a direct access to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the demand for direct access to Bitcoin exploded on the last 2 years. And I think people start to understand that the only interest of, not the only, but one of the big interests of Bitcoin is to be your own custodian. And I think it's very, very important. I don't have enough Bitcoin, and I think we
never have enough Bitcoin,
we
right?
never have enough Bitcoin. Yeah. So and again, there is a lot and problems with Bitcoin, but there is too many smart people looking at it to discount it as a FUD.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, I have big FOMO on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that the Bitcoin ecosystem with ordinals, NFT,
Now DeFi a bit
DeFi / Lightning Network, I have the feeling there is the beginning of something interesting here. So that's level 1. Level 2, at the end of the day, Bitcoin is going to be massive as a store of value in a lot of very politically complicated region of the world. So maybe if you are a US oligarch, you don't need Bitcoin that much. And
because you have dollar, yeah.
You have dollars, blah, blah. But there's a lot of people with a lot of money that don't have access to dollars for many reasons. And I don't know if BRICS will be an alternative for them. And I think a lot of them, the day they will understand Bitcoin a little deeper, it will go. And I think Bitcoin has a huge education, philosophical adoption problem. And I know it because it took me years to understand Bitcoin. And I'm talking about Bitcoin since 2013.
Oh, yeah.
So I should be billionaire. I'm not. And I'm not because I didn't get it. And, I'm the kind of stupid guy that made multiple times 20x on his Bitcoin.
Yeah, and sold, yeah.
And sold when I should have done 1 million X. So yeah. So I understand, and I kind of start to understand how powerful he was. I have a personal theory about Satoshi. He's a dead man, or he's an alien, or he's a time traveler. I don't see any other explanation about how he can keep a secret
like that, yeah.
Like that. It's not human. So maybe he's dead. and
it would be not to say like we want Satoshi to be dead, but I think a good thing for the protocol.
Yeah.
Because his Bitcoin would be lost and everything, and there is no risk of having a guy that could shake it.
Exactly. Or he's a time traveler coming to save us from the future from CBDC. And he came and built Bitcoin at the right moment, at the time where it was hard to understand and adoption will be a little bit limited. Or maybe it's an alien that want to change the course of human race.
Distract us or
Distract us, yeah. So that's my thing. So yeah, I really believe. But what is the timeline of that? It's going to take times.
For me, despite the fact that Bitcoin doesn't create value, it's like gold. It's still having inflation.
Yeah.
I think we are still at the stage where the growth of Bitcoin through the demand like is so high that the inflation is like just, and the fact it doesn't produce anything is just like not a big deal. And I think the thing I would like really to see is like having, because people saying like in crypto, big institutions are getting in, that's the narrative they try to sell like since years now. I'm convinced that we haven't really seen anything close to that yet. We have some players, BlackRock, Fidelity, stepping in, but it's very slow. They are still not selling it to their clients and anything. So I think I'm still waiting to see any big, really institutional player, like with a spot ETF, really stepping in to see how it impacts the price and how it impacts really the supply on exchange. For the fact you were mentioning about, at some point, you could have like not any Bitcoin left on any exchanges. And I hope that all the derivatives and all the structured products will not like impact Bitcoin as it impacted gold. But one thing I'm sure of is like there is very few situations where buying gold instead of Bitcoin will be a better risk reward like in 5, 10, 20 years. Like I'm convinced that the chart of like gold against Bitcoin will definitely go down so hard, and that's why like I'm really bullish on Bitcoin, because just like by getting 10-20% of like guys who have the money into gold, pouring it back into Bitcoin just to diversify or to get this Bitcoin exposure, will like really bring Bitcoin like over 100,000, or will like kind of like help us like having a new narrative and everything. But the thing I'm a bit sad of regarding Bitcoin, especially since like COVID and since the top of the market, is like, of course, people are building on Bitcoin, but I think the adoption or the good way of selling Bitcoin, not as a speculative investment where you would make free eggs, stuff like that, but really like something that would benefit us all, is really not shown the right way. And at some point, it's really impacting the value of Bitcoin. And that's something that's why also I get like why many central banks or big players are not stepping into Bitcoin, because it's seen too much as a speculative investment. I think gold, like even before the ETF, like they had like, I don't know when it was, like before like really we had like this gold super cycle, was seen with like some narrative that were outside the, oh, I'm gonna make money on it. Yeah. And that's why like I think many big like players are not doing the right thing to promote Bitcoin. Like for example, what we have like in El Salvador was cool, but it's not like something, I don't know, like having, I think people like getting into the Lebanon, showing Light Network how it works, how it's helping people, will definitely benefit more the cause of Bitcoin than
for sure.
Saying
every revolution like that is bottom up, never top down. So
that's the thing. Perhaps because we discussed a lot about currencies. Do you have a hot take on any currency?
Zero.
Going down? I think one of my favorite currency currently is like the yen, because how fucked up it is on every like central bank speech they make, like they try things.
It's only going down, right?
Yeah. I think it went really down against dollar. Like you had like a small pullback.
Each time I go to Japan, it feels cheaper than the previous time.
But the crazy thing is like the system, like the debt currency, because like as like a dollar, euro, it's a debt currency too, is broken. Like they cannot stimulate the economy. They cannot have inflation. It feels like everything they're doing like is out of mind. And also that could be
and
like
still a very rich and prosperous country. Huh?
Yeah.
Very strange.
Yeah, very strange. And I think like perhaps we could go toward like this path, like the euro, the dollar, at a place where they raise rates, inflation's still here. Like that's the current case. And like no matter what central bankers will do, nothing will change, and like it's just like an infinite cycle. And I think perhaps a prediction for the viewers who made it until here, quite a long talk. Perhaps they can bet about your next, or 2023, your hotel restaurant bill, and perhaps the winner can win something.
Okay, sure.
What kind of prize?
So if there is multiple winner, we pick only one.
So let's say it's how close you have to be. Is it the closer?
So we will take the good thing is that on Revolut.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can.
It's very easy to have the precise amount.
And I will check the number for sure.
And so we take the number on Revolut, and the closest to it win. And if there is two that are the same number, then we
head or tails.
Yeah.
Luck.
Exactly.
And what would they win? We will have to think about it, or
no. We can make them win a lunch together, and I will take a plane to wherever.
Okay, that's a cool. So you are more like doing the gift than you are the gift. Okay. That's
exactly.
Cool. Oh, we'll find something.
We find something. Yeah.
If it's an entrepreneur, perhaps we can have him on a podcast or anything.
Yeah, sure.
That would be fun.
We can find something.
Okay. I think that's it for the first episode of Fud and Fomo.
Fud and Fomo, more Fomo than Fud.
Yeah, that's the cool thing. Thanks all.